Live. We're live. Hello everyone. I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be playing The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. So Oblivion has been shadow dropped. Somebody already spoiled this a few days ago, but it's basically available right now, a complete remaster, not a remake, of The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. It's 120 gigs. It's on Game Pass, so if you have a Game Pass, you'll find it on your Xbox app right away. So if you scroll down, you'll find it. Again, 120 gigs is kind of crazy. And I basically knew, quote unquote, that this was going to happen due to the leaks, but I wasn't sure it was going to shadow drop. So here we got it, 120 gigs. And good news and bad news. Good news is the same game as before with some improvements, especially visuals. Bad news, but it could be good news as well. This is Unreal Engine 5, apparently. So I'm a bit afraid for our GPUs here. But it's verified apparently on Steam Deck, so we're going to try it on Steam Deck probably tomorrow. I had to basically talk to my coworker and be like, hey Gus, an Oblivion remaster has just dropped. Can I talk to you tomorrow about work and focus today on making YouTube videos? And he was like, yeah, of course, go. And I'm here, so thanks Gustavo for telling me, hell yeah, go make that video. Work can wait for tomorrow. So yeah, Gustavo is the best. Yeah, anything but The Elder Scrolls 6. So apparently it's verified, but we came from basically a gigabyte and something of storage to 125. But again, everything is completely remade. The core game apparently is the same. So let's scroll to the bottom. Here's the requirements. So again, Unreal Engine 5, RX 5700, 1070 Ti, DirectX 12, 32 gigs of RAM recommended, doubt. 16 gigs should be okay. 6 cores, 12 threads is basically the CPU that you need. And yeah, there's not much more to say, really. Hopefully it's a good running UE5 game, and it's Steam Deck verified, so we're playing that. And give me 1 sec that my dog wants to go outside. Alright, sorry about that. There we go. So apparently the game performs well on Steam Deck, but again, verified could also be Steam Deck terrified. We saw games that were like, oh yeah, it's verified, and it runs at 144p below 30 FPS. So yeah. Sí, Andrés, soy de Uruguay. Exactly the same system requirements as Starfield. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it means anything either. I don't know if they're using Lumen and Nanite, but if they're not using those, hopefully, that means that we might have a good rasterized game, we hope, as an option at least. The game is super old, so they could also focus on not using the latest and greatest features mandatory. So yeah. There's probably Lumen, yeah. I mean, UE5 lighting usually relies on it, but sometimes I've seen games that you can turn it off. Very, very few times, but we can hope. Yeah, these days Steam Deck verified means more like it opens. Yeah, basically. Thanks for the content. Thank you guys for watching. There's, 430 people watching. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, this was literally shadow dropped. Like an hour and 20 minutes ago. Again, I was aware of the leaks and all that, but I wasn't 100% sure. It's like telling me, oh yeah, there will be GTA 6 trailer too. So yeah, definitely, yeah, it released. You guys can find it on Steam, on PS5, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, and it's on Game Pass, which is what I'm using right now. I also requested a Steam code to test it on Steam Deck. Otherwise, on Steam Deck, I'm going to do it with Windows or just buy the game on Steam, like a normal person. But you can try it by using Game Pass PC. With a 3050, it died, unfortunately. Are we going to do a Steam Deck video? Yeah, definitely. Probably tomorrow, if we are lucky. We'll see. But again, Shadow dropped, and again, I'm a little bit afraid because I didn't know it was UE5. I thought like, okay, this is probably going to be a modified creation engine or something like Starfield, which has its own problems, let's be honest. But when it comes to this one, it's UE5. Uruguay, a good place to live. I mean, it's a pretty peaceful place in South America. When it comes to South America, I'd say it's one of the best places, safest, but it's still pretty dangerous. So I like living here, personally. The game systems run on CE, but the visuals are UE5. Yeah, I mean, the creation engine logic is still there. So keep that in mind. The base of the game, all the logic is still Oblivion, but it's wrapped on UE5. Similar to Ninja Gaiden 2. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, that they grabbed the original engine and they like made it fit on a new engine to have new graphics. So yeah, exactly. The game logic, the base one, the same as before, but with but within UE5. So you have that UE5 visual sprinkled on top of it. It plays almost exactly the same. I mean, yeah, it's a remaster, not a remake. That's how it should be. Will it run on 1660 Super? I'm about to find out. If it runs on this card, on the 1650, it should run on yours, no problem. I'm doing fine. What about you? Yeah, I had to ask a coworker if I could leave for the day and do this live stream. And he was like, yeah, sure, we'll talk tomorrow. And I was like, okay, see you tomorrow. So yeah, a Giga Chad. People that work with me are Giga Chads. Seems like there are still loading screens, but it's instant now. It makes sense. It has to. What do? I do VR development at the moment. The price is way too much for something you played a long time ago. I mean, it makes sense. Personally, I have no nostalgia for Oblivion. I started playing the Elder Scrolls on Skyrim, actually. I didn't even know those games existed back then. So my door to the Elder Scrolls was Skyrim. So in my case, this would be like, okay, I never played the original. This might be a good way to play it. So yeah, maybe people waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6 that never played anything before Skyrim, like myself, will like this. No, you're not getting a hard copy of this one. I'm pretty sure. And Bethesda never puts all the data in the disc. Never, ever. Skyrim was a lot of people's first Elder Scrolls games. Exactly. I mean, again, I'm 29 years old. If you're my age, you were born maybe, yeah, something like that or below, between 20 and 29. You probably played just Skyrim. Probably. That's just a guess, of course. So it makes sense that they're trying to do it with this one. It's the closest, quote unquote, to Skyrim, but the visuals were way worse. Even a double Blu-ray would need 10 to 12 discs. No, you would need maybe 2 Blu-rays, I think. So do you just power off, swap GPU after test? Yeah, exactly. And the drivers refresh. As long as I don't do it more than 4 times, we should be good. You're 28, played Skyrim a lot. Gotta find the NPC music. We're almost there. Yeah, the game is out. Guys, if you want to play it, it's on PC Game Pass or $50 on Steam. Personally, again, since I already have Game Pass, it's just a matter of opening the Xbox app and you'll find the game. And if you have an Xbox Series S, Series X, just go into your dashboard, open Game Pass, and the game should be at the top. Or you can buy it for Steam using my affiliate link for instant gaming that I left in the chat. you can get it for cheaper there, but it's still like $50. So if you already played the game, it's basically Oblivion on UE5 with UE5 graphics. Game Pass is weird, download speed is unstable. I think there's a lot of people downloading this and the servers are crying. That's my guess. But I usually I have a gigabit, so this should be at 1,000, and it's going up and down. And I'm streaming, yeah, but I'm not using anywhere close a gigabit to stream. Today's huge day. Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, seeing an Elder Scrolls game under Unreal Engine, it's a weird thing to say for me. I'm used to Bethesda game being only creation engine things. I just hope that there's an FOB slider. I'm not asking for much, Bethesda, come on. Yeah, Skyblivion is another good way to do it, I think, once it's finished. Which basically is Oblivion in the Skyrim engine, as far as I know. That is continuing. That's not halting development of that mod. So yeah, Skyblivion should be a good alternative. Almost there. Less than a gigabyte left. Come on. You're playing Max Payne 2 these days? Great game. Very depressing. Reminds me of my childhood. Fiverr? Definitely. Yeah. Once we got a Fiverr in general on Uruguay, they decided like in 2010 or something like that to put Fiverr everywhere. They were like, the government was like, fiber optics everywhere. And they started putting Fiverr and we got insane speeds nowadays. Everybody in Uruguay has like a gigabit for very little money. Okay, it's done. Let's open the FPS counters. All right. I'm using the latest NVIDIA driver, but if anything goes wrong, I'm going to roll back to a previous one because there's been bugs with NVIDIA drivers. Yeah, Fiverr in Uruguay started like in 2010. Your system doesn't have the requirements to play. Oh, okay. Click OK to proceed to the launch, but it could run with issues. So the game says at least 6 GB of VRAM. Keep that in mind. But the game is a Giga chat and it's like, okay, but if you hit OK, the game will open anyway. Gotcha. Okay, I was scared for a moment. I was like, don't tell me that we're already dying. Okay, so we have a shader preload before launching. That's perfect. 100% CPU to preload those shaders. Awesome. Hopefully that means no stuttering. But let's see what happens. So far, so good. The game didn't tell us, hey, no, freak off. They're like, okay, just keep going, but be warned, you only have 4 gigs. And thank you so much, Sean, for the $5 donation. He says, can you check if you can pull down the console command? You hit the tilde key, put it down. Once the shaders preload, I'm going to try that. Sure. Yeah. Like in the other creation engine games. Yeah, it's a good idea to try that, actually. We could have a lot of control over it. 1,000 FPS, oh my god! Oh! Yeah. Yeah, this is going to take a few, maybe 1 or 2 minutes. We'll find out, but this is a good thing. This should only happen when the game gets an update or when the drivers of your GPU change. 1,000 FPS. Oh my god. Is the game runs on 1660? I mean, apparently it should launch. The minimum that the game recommends is a 1070 Ti, which is a 8GB GPU. Should be close to a 1660 Super. But the 1660 Super has 6 gigs, which is the actual minimum, apparently. So yeah. It's over 1,000! Test on Steam Deck? Hell yeah. I'm definitely doing a Steam Deck video. But once I recover from this live stream. So don't worry, I'll be here. I'll just do this as research and I'll have quote unquote optimal settings on Steam Deck. is verified, which makes me hopeful that on Steam Deck it's going to run maybe at 30 FPS if we're lucky, with ultra performance upscaling maybe. I don't know, haven't tried it yet. But who knows? Yes, I speak Spanish. Sí, el español es mi lenguaje que vino de fábrica. 30 to 40 at 1080p low with FSR and FrameGen. FrameGen doesn't ignore. If you ignore FrameGen, that would be the real performance. Nobody likes input lag. Now French. Excusez-moi. You'll try your 4060. Yeah, we'll try after the 1650. We do the 3060 and the 4060, and maybe the 1050 Ti just to f around, because I still have one. It's right here. So yeah, it will be funny. Oblivion is mostly first person, so FrameGen is going to be horrible. Yeah, I mean, first person especially. If you use a controller, okay, I can kind of understand it. But at the same time, using a mouse is where it's the most noticeable. If you ever played, I don't know, maybe you streamed the game on a with poor latency, streaming it from the cloud, using a mouse and keyboard, you understand what I'm talking about. There is some delay to your input. Some people are less sensitive to it. I'm very sensitive to it because I've been playing, my whole life. Even if it was like at 10 FPS when I was a kid, I played like Assassin's Creed and Resident Evil 5 at 10 FPS, and I was the happiest kid in the world. So just input lag, I'm very sensitive to it. The CPU, it's in the description. We're almost there though. Sí, soy de Uruguay. You see the game requirement says we need 32 GB of RAM. That's the recommended setting, and I think they are exaggerating. Sometimes it's like, okay, on the recommended, put something absurd. Some games do that, and I find it hilarious. Okay. Intensity, brightness. Continue. The volume is fine. Text size. Okay, this for Steam Deck will be interesting. The text size to put it on big. I'm going to keep the music because apparently the music is stream safe. Ooh, that music. I don't have any nostalgia for this, but the music is still badass. Okay, Virtuos took care of this. Gotcha. I thought it wasn't Bethesda. Okay. Yeah, I accept the agreement. Take my soul. This is UE5. Okay, let's see the options. Low splatter visibility, low health vignette visibility, camera motion, head bobbing. I don't like head bobbing. Okay, here we go. So let's go full screen. Hopefully it's real full screen. UE5 usually has the habit of giving you only... Yeah, it's actual full screen. Okay, so on my 4K screen, I can actually put 1080p just fine. GG. This is actual full screen. Show VRAM. Okay, there's a VRAM gauge and an FPS counter. FOV slider, thank you! Thank you! This is what I was talking about when I just was going to launch the game. Let's put it at 90 degrees. I cannot believe it. On release day, we get an FOV slider on a Bethesda game. Motion blur, no. Reflections, yes. And well, the game tells us, hey, do you want reflections or not? I don't know why this is separate. We have all the UE5 settings on low, obviously. We're below the minimum requirements. There's hardware lumen. So yeah, software ray tracing. Or you can lower the quality of the software ray tracing as well. Upscaling, we got off, FSR and XESS. DLSS probably is also included. There's TSR too. Okay, there's a good amount of options. There's also You can also turn off TAA, but probably it's going to break some stuff. So let's try FSR on quality and see what happens. There's also frame gen. That's very, very cool. So everything is here. So let's start with the lowest settings. So 1080p, low, FSR 3, quality. And the frame gen is not showing up for some reason. But I'd rather not use frame gen, personal preference. We're going to try it anyway. Okay, anything else that I'm missing? No, I think we're good. But hey, FOV slider, 11 out of 10. I never played this, so I don't know what I'm doing. And if you know the channel,
87 years ago.
You probably know that everything that I do is without spoilers, if possible, so we're skipping everything. But let's see if we get playable FPS at least. Okay, so I'm going to be... Yeah, let's be an Argonian like I did on Skyrim. Randomize the appearance. There we go. And I continue. Oh, I need to put a name on it. Walter. Okay, we're in. Welcome to Oblivion Remastered. There is stuttering so far, but again, I'm on the absolute lowest GPU.
Hey, lizard, it must break your heart.
So once we get outside, we'll see the real performance.
Knowing you'll never get to swim again. You know, sometimes when they let us in the yard, you can.
Yeah, it looks pretty good on low, actually. I mean, I can see the individual scales in my character.
So close. No, you'll never get to swim again.
Just lunch watching your down speed.
But don't worry, you'll be dead soon enough.
The VRM counter is broken. Yeah, it is.
Hey, you hear that? The guards are coming for you.
But I mean, considering it's low, those textures look fantastic. I can see the robe, individual robe, rats over there. I love the low settings nowadays. It's like ultra settings from 7 years ago.
I know it.
What's this prisoner doing here?
Yeah, I need to wait to go outside. Usually indoors is not demanding in most games.
Never mind.
That's why I'm not touching the settings as of yet.
Stand back, prisoner. We won't hesitate to kill you if you get in our way.
Yeah, and the FSR 3 so far is looking good in motion.
Stay out of the way and you won't get hurt.
Even with the chains in front of the light source.
Prisoner, get over by the window now.
Yeah, I mean, I have cast shadows. Let's see in first person if we have shadows. We don't.
Prisoner, get over by the window now.
Look at me.
No sign of pursuit, sir. Stay put, prisoner.
Good. Let's go. We're not out
Yeah,
of this
30
yet.
FPS in a dark room is bad. I agree. That's why going outside is what matters.
You. Let me see your face. You are the one from my dreams.
You're the one from my dreams. That's effed up.
Please, sire, we must keep moving.
Open world will be unplayable. Yeah, let's see. Let's see. Hopefully they did a good job with asset
Better not
streaming.
close this one.
All that.
There's no way to open it from the other side.
Just the fact that we have some clothes.
Looks like this is your lucky day. Just stay out of our way.
But despite being low, the shadows look great.
Do as you're told and you'll be all right.
Let's see. Okay. As more light sources appear, we drop more frames. Oblivion at low FPS, this is the right way to do it. That's a good point, actually. This is how I remember the game, right? I never played it, but back in the day, this would be a great performance. Oh, that guy's.
You don't want to do that again.
There we go. Assassin, take all. Yeah, as soon as there's transparencies,
We're clear for
it
now.
drops pretty hard.
Reno,
She's dead.
For the Emperor!
This is official business. Do
Okay, I would not interfere. Come on,
They've been
move.
waiting for us here. Don't know, but it's too late to go back now.
Yeah, the open world will probably be
We
painful
will
for this
get you
card.
out of here.
We'll see.
They won't be the first to
There's trouble
underestimate
ahead.
the
But the
blades.
materials, even at low, look
I'll take
fantastic.
point. Let's
I mean,
move.
just look at the hands of my
You Stay
character.
here, prisoner. Don't try to follow us.
Now, this is low. Believe it or not. Oh. Guys, there's 2,000 people watching this live stream. What the hell? Thank you so much. I appreciate that you are excited about it. If you like my content, consider liking the video. So if you like the video, like it. If you dislike the video, like it. And yeah, I appreciate you stopping by. I do this with as many new games as I can. Entering the hole. Okay. I can't see anything. Sorry, my... Where's the hole? Oh, there we go. I have a button to do stuff. There you are. Apologies. Oh, but this look good. I mean, even on low... It still looks pretty damn good. Door is locked. Maybe you can find a key. Maybe. I'll think about it. There we go. A key. Those rat physics are crazy. Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, just look at the ground. It has a lot of geometry. Oh, okay. Hold up. I need to look the part. Look at that. Yeah, I think I got everything. Look at me. Yeah, the thing with the 1650 Super is that we're limited on VRAM. Everything. Yeah, let's get outside. Oh, hi there, a zombie! Okay, they'll fight each other. I'll just continue. I have a torch in my inventory. I do have one. I'm sorry, I never played this one. Torch, there you are. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. This definitely... Also, this... Yeah, the torch casts shadows. We're on low settings. That's kind of insane, if you think about it. Let me drink something. Oh, I need shortcuts for all this. Put this on 1, this one on 2, 3, and this one on 4. Yeah, it does have frame gen, and it's FSR3 frame gen. So we should be good. But some parts here, especially when there is The highlights the terrain. Here's when it drops the most, when there is a big light casting shadows. Now the 1030 won't do it. The GT 1030 has no chance against this one. Am I going in circles? No, this is new. Does this game have frame gen? Yeah, it does. But the idea is to go outside. Okay, a goblin. It is to go outside because outside is usually way more demanding. So that's why I'm speed running through it. Oh, okay, this is two big clocks. A hood classic. Auto attempt until all of them break. There we go. So as I was saying, the idea is to go outside because outside there's stuff in the distance. There is usually more than one shadow casting light. I mean, just look at this part. It has that light from there, all these lights, these all cast shadows. Seems to be impossible to reach outside. Tell me about it. Yeah, the minimum it went is 28, 29.
Protect the Emperor until help
27, sorry. This is the lowest it went now.
Help. What makes you think help will get here before more of those bastards? Here they come again. We need to get the Emperor out of here.
Yeah, it's out. It's out. Guys, you can find it on Game Pass. It's included with your Game Pass subscription. So don't worry. You can try it just by using the Xbox Game Pass PC thing. It's also on Steam and on PS5 and Xbox Series X and S.
He is not one of them.
No, I'm not one of them.
He must help us.
No, the game so far runs
They cannot
better
understand
than
how can
usual when it comes to UE5, at least indoors. Okay, now I can choose. I'm going to be... I like using bow and arrow, but I'm going to be the warrior just because it's easier to do it like this at the beginning.
Yours, my dream.
But I'm a stealth archer in Skyrim, like everybody else. So it'll make it easier if I
You
go...
may as well make yourself. Although
Yeah, if I go directly
the
to
Emperor's-
this.
Stick close and let us do our job. You'll be all right.
But 32 gigabytes of RAM, yeah, not a chance that is going to use that. In this case, I'm using 16 gigs because I'm clearly VRAM limited. I only have 4 gigs. The game says, hey, you should have at least 6.
For the Emperor!
And I'm using a torch at the same time, which doesn't help.
My guardians are sworn to.
Let's use something heavier. Oh,
My blood for the
I was attacking, my bad.
Empire! That's not. You're lucky I like you. The Emperor's in danger! Prisoner! The Emperor needs help! Prisoner! Do that again!
The Emperor looks good. Yeah, definitely. I think what the Emperor makes us drop frames is due to the cloth material there. Has some... seems to have some hair
The Emperor's in danger!
coming out of it. But this doesn't look like low settings. I need to quadruple check the settings just in case I'm quick saving. So we're on the lowest settings, yeah. Medium, high, ultra, or custom. It dropped back to low. Hopefully the game doesn't crash. Yep, FSR quality. You can play with the sharpness as well.
Watch your back for it.
Yep. And the FSR so far is looking great. No, I'm not going high settings yet, especially due to the VRAM limitation. Yeah, I think balanced will make more sense. Yeah, let's go to balanced. Because we're already dropping frames like crazy in places where it shouldn't. So FSR balanced. That should give us some help that we desperately need.
Hold up. I don't like this. Let me take a look.
There we go. Without FSR, we're below 30 at all times.
Come with us. Your destiny.
So again, if it stays with FSR balance on 1080p, even in the open world at 30 FPS, I think it's a win for the 1650. But we'll see.
Damn it! The gate is barred from the other side. A trap! What about
It's a trap!
back there? Worth a try.
Yeah, I
Let's
can
go.
probably run above 60 with a faster GPU. I think on the CPU side it will be pretty light, considering the base of the game is still Oblivion.
It's a dead end.
And I'm trying to open the console, but there is
They're
no...
behind
the
us.
button doesn't work
Wait
for
here, sire.
opening the console.
Wait here with the Emperor. Guard him with your life.
You thought
I will.
You thought we'd go down easy?
Hey Emperor, this is awkward.
I can go no further. You alone must take the amulet. Find him.
Okay. Oh, there he goes. Spoilers. Let's pretend we didn't see that.
You chose a bad day to take up with the cause of the Septums.
Oblivion take you. For the blades.
Okay, let's loot the Emperor as well. Oh, we cannot.
Talos, save us. We failed.
We failed. You have failed this Emperor.
Job of it.
Okay, combat. Let's go war. Yeah, warrior or barbarian. Yeah, warrior. I want endurance.
I wasn't far off.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Leave the Emperor in peace.
Leave the Emperor in peace. Oh. I like that the hammer casts a shadow, but I don't in first person. Having a first person shadow would be nice. Is the OG voice acting? I don't know. Do you guys know? I never played the original, so I wouldn't know.
You need to get out of here. There's no. Good day.
Good day. Okay, there we go. That's the key. Yeah, there's also loading screens. Very quick ones, but they're there, so... The base is still Oblivion. And again, we're playing on low settings, and look at... I'll just look at the game. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game. Textures still look great on low. We'll see outside, of course, but we also have screen space reflections. I kept them on because they're usually the lightest reflection we can have. But I don't expect it to be CPU limited, just due to the fact that the logic of the original game is still intact, as far as I know. What I do notice though is artifacting. Is this the logo? Holy hell. Exit the sewers. Okay. We finally got out of the prologue. The RAM usage is pretty high, but again remember that we are video memory limited. The game says when you launch it, hey, you only have 4 GB of VRAM. You should do at least 6. So here is compensating the lack of VRAM with RAM, which is slower than actual VRAM. But let's see, this is the real test. Yeah, here's when the GPU suffers the most. See, this is why I don't like tweaking settings in the prologue. Let me save this exact spot before I continue. But of course, this is where you notice that we are heavily video memory limited. It's not a joke. This is why this happens. The VRAM is basically maxed out, the game says, but I need more, and the PC is like, okay, let's allocate that to the system RAM, and that's way slower. That's why UE5 games suffer a lot, especially newer ones, with 4 GB GPUs. I think Stalker 2 had a similar issue. So I'm not surprised, I was expecting this actually. Let me put the lowest it can go. Ultra performance upscaling, just to show you that it's not a thing to do with the settings. Let's disable reflections. Yeah. That's basically it. So with low ultra performance, this is the lowest it can go. This is how we get 30 FPS, quote unquote, but of course it looks horrible. It doesn't have any even screen space reflections. So like this, honestly on a 1650 I wouldn't even play it, just due to the fact that 4 GB of VRAM, it's a no-go for this one. The Steam Deck, I think it will work on Steam Deck just because of the fact that, if you guys remember, the Steam Deck, it's an APU. The RAM that it has 16 gigs. From those 16, it grabs whatever it needs for the video memory. So it can go above 4 gigs just fine. So I have faith on Steam Deck for this one, actually. Believe it or not. So before going any further, let's just swap to the next GPU. On the 1650, just due to the VRAM alone, just ignore it for now. I mean, 4 GB of VRAM on UE5, it's not good. So let me swap to the next card. I saved, don't worry. So yeah, if you have 4 gigs, ignore the game. If you have 4 gigs of VRAM. The card that we're using right now is going to have 12, so we should be good. 3060, yeah. What's the performance on Series S? I have no idea. I wanted to try that today, actually. By the way, this remaster coming out, yeah, I miss EVGA as well. Absolute giga chats. Now that I saw this game being remastered and everything, it got me excited because I've been playing Skyrim, and well, that's again the only Elder Scrolls game that I played personally. And this makes me think, man, maybe I should do a video covering every Elder Scrolls, but on the Steam Deck. Play the originals, play the remasters, all that. Because they're pretty old games at this point. I think it would be interesting to see them on deck all together. So the 3060 that we have over here is 12 gigabytes. We should be fine. Anyone know if SSD is required? I don't think it's required, but it's recommended. I don't know if the game uses what's the name of this? Direct storage. It probably does. But it has loading screens in the middle, those smaller ones, like in the original game. Let me see if G-Sync is running. Yes, it is. Awesome. Do you know about mod support? Apparently, the mod support is unknown, but it's Unreal Engine, so somebody's going to figure it out. But at the moment, there's no news when it comes to modding, as far as I know. Okay, let's go. I do have everything. Oh man, a multiplayer mod. I mean, the game looks fantastic so far. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody does that. Yeah, I'm doing Steam Deck, hopefully later today, but it all depends really, because I don't have it on Steam, the game, as of yet. I have it only on Game Pass. Oh, we'll see. I might do it today. Okay, 1080p. The VRAM counter is broken, so we're turning that off. That music. Let's try Ultra, just for the memes. There's also Hardware Lumen, if you're interested. We're going to try this separately, but the software ray tracing... You know what, let's go Ultra right away, like a moron. I changed my mind. This is stupidly demanding, so keep that in mind. And we do have DLSS. We're going to go native. And video reflex, let's keep it like that. Okay. Let's just go absolute batshit insane with the with the settings. And let's see what happens. Temperatures to the moon. Yeah, with this one, including RT, let's put RT Hardware Ultra. Also, you didn't see a shader compilation pass for this part. I'm thinking it's compiling the shaders right now, actually. If you look at the CPU is basically locked to 100%, and we didn't have a screen saying, oh, we're compiling shaders. The CPU in the description, it's a 13th Gen i5. So as I was saying, it didn't say that it's compiling shaders when it launched, so I'm guessing it's doing it right now, because the CPU is maxed out. No, I don't think it crashed. I'm pretty sure it's compiling the shaders. There we go. Oof. Still, this is the absolute highest settings. I think it includes the hardware lumen. Again, I went to the highest settings. It's kind of a waste of time to do that, but I like doing it just for fun. Let me see if my own reflection is there. Yeah, it is. So yeah, hardware ray tracing is very expensive on the GPU, and some things are not reflected, like transparencies are usually not included in the ray trace reflection. If you look at that tree, there are, well, yeah, now that I'm seeing it, yeah, there's a lot of reflection going on there. But again, I don't think it's usually worth your time doing that. So the first thing we're going to lower as usual, first of all, we're disabling lumen ray tracing, hardware lumen. So basically the ray tracing will be less accurate. So we're keeping RT to software high, and we disable lumen for hardware. Just because of the fact that it's way more demanding. Now as you can see, Instead of the 20s, we're in the 30s, and the reflections are worse. But again, the reflections before this had way more detail. So I think this is good enough. Do I see my own reflection as well? No. I think with screen space reflections, we should be good. Yeah. This looks way better when it comes to the performance, I mean. And again, I'm playing on Ultra. So we're on the highest settings when it comes to UE5. There's a lot that can be done. First of all, let's see very quickly. Yeah, you can see there, behind the character, the screen space reflection breaks. But that's pretty common. Yeah, it's still using 16 gigs, but it's less RAM usage than before. So the minimum of 16 gigs makes a lot of sense. So as I was saying, we can tweak a lot of things. Let's start with effects. Shadows, global illumination is a big one. Reflections. Usually I like playing on high settings in games like these. And the software lumen, I'm not sure on low how many rays it casts. But I put it on, let me check very quick. Let's keep that on high. So RT software high. Again, RT is running whether we like it or not. It's Lumen UE5. So high ultra is basically high, to be honest. Yeah, basically high. High-ish settings. Okay. We're now into the 40s, basically. What I do not know is about the lumen quality. Let me see, I'm at 42 frames, looking that way. If I scroll down and put this on low. Yeah. Yeah, we get an improvement in performance, but yeah, you might as well keep it on high lumen at this point. Yeah, there's no console commands, unfortunately. I tried the button and it didn't do anything. So with software ray tracing, which is the least expensive one, looking at this, I'm getting 40 FPS, 42, on a mix of high and ultra. But if I enabled hardware ray tracing, that is the most expensive one, and I keep that on high, instead of 40s, let's see how much I get. I get mid-30s. Okay, it's not a great loss in performance, all things considered. But still, it's more accurate reflections and global illumination. Just for performance reasons, I think it's worth just keeping the other one. So my advice to get the best possible performance is to disable hardware lumen, keep the software lumen going for better performance, and we gotta use some upscaling, so quality. Maybe we can try the transformer model later. What I'm not seeing though is FSR3 being agnostic from FrameGen. The FrameGen is not agnostic from the other settings. So if I wanted to use FrameGen on an Nvidia card, I cannot use DLSS as the upscaler. So unfortunately, the FSR3 FrameGen is locked behind using FSR3, not like other games. So let's try DLSS quality, and we're there, borderline. So yeah, this is DLSS quality, but we're still not hitting 60s. So I think we should go a little bit lower on some of the things. So it's running like a UE5 game. That's my first thought, and it seems to be an old DLSS version because it's looking very soft. Yeah, if they put the newest FSR3 version, we should be able to have FrameGen without using FSR if we wanted to. Yeah, I'll just lock it to high settings actually. Except the textures, obviously. The textures can stay the same. There we go. 1080p high. Preset, DLSS quality, RT software high. So yeah, it's definitely a UE5 game. That's what I can say so far. Unfortunately, ray tracing, you cannot turn it off. It's part of the engine. But it does look good. I will give him that. Yeah, the VRAM usage is at 8 gigabytes, so we're good on the VRAM side. And as you can see, there's still loading screens like the original. Just take it as, okay, we grabbed Oblivion, we put it in Unreal Engine 5 to get better graphics, but it's still Oblivion.
What is it?
So yeah, on the CPU side at least, it seems to be fine. The GPU on the other side, well, it's pretty expensive. Yeah, we could get 1440p 60 with upscaling, unfortunately. I'll lower RT just to keep you guys happy. So again, you cannot turn off ray tracing. You can choose between software and hardware lumen, but if I put low lumen, the ray tracing is still there. There's no way for us to do it. So yeah.
Stonewall shields. We special. It has been some.
Okay, persuading, bartering, repair.
Be seeing you.
Frame gen? Yeah, we're going to try it in a moment. Yeah, mandatory ray tracing. And you might ask yourself, how is this mandatory ray tracing if it works on a non-RT card like the 1650? Well, that's because software Lumen, which is a less accurate ray tracing version, doesn't need RT cores to work. So let me restart the game super quick, just to make sure everything is in good shape when it comes to the settings. So RT software low. Again, you cannot turn it off. So let's give it a second. The game is already running. No, I just closed it. Come on, launch the game. How's the 3060 performance looking? High settings, DLSS quality, low ray tracing, and you are 50 plus FPS. I was expecting a bit more, honestly. But it's still a UE5 game. Yet another UE5 game. How's the object interactions? I mean, it's the same as the original, but with UE5 graphics, basically. Can we disable RT in game files? No, not really.
It's you.
Yeah, probably if you want to keep the settings like this, maybe balanced DLSS makes more sense.
You have my ears. Yes?
This guy looks familiar.
What are you looking? Stop the.
Yeah, the creation engine is under this, but I cannot open the console like in the other games.
How are you?
Yeah, the zoom on the face is still
Can I
there.
help you?
It's weird to see this in so much detail. I haven't played the original personally. I saw the memes. It's weird to see this with these visuals. They locked the console out. I'm not surprised if they did. It looks pretty good. The thing is, yeah, it's expensive on the GPU. Let me see if I can fix this by putting some stuff on medium. Yeah, I'm putting Oblivion on medium. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I'll show you frame gen. because some of you guys are asking about it. So with FSR3 and no frame gen, I'm getting like 50 to 60 FPS. So it's quote unquote a good number to put frame gen if you like using that sort of thing. So the base frame rate is good enough, and you get like 100 FPS with FSR3 quality plus frame gen. So yeah, I can feel the input latency, but
Remember,
it's okay. It's fine. I've seen worse. The city seems dead. It's a game from 20 years ago, wrapped in the Unreal Engine 5. FSR native plus frame gen? Yeah, sure. Native is pretty expensive on the GPU, but why not?
Ow.
There we go. Oops. So yeah, unfortunately, FrameGen is locked. Let's wait for 21 hours. FrameGen is locked to using FSR3. Yeah, fake frames and Force RT. Game development in 2025. You got it completely right. You got the assignment. Understood the assignment perfectly. There it goes. Oh, not 23 hours. Without ray tracing, yeah, sure. I wish I could, but I cannot. So here that I'm getting like 80 frames, internally it's like 40 something FPS. So you can feel the input lag. It's not that bad. I've seen worse implementations, but it works fine when it comes to frame gen. I'm just not a fan of the input latency. So if you wanted 100 and something FPS, FSR3 quality and frame gen, you should be at around 100 and something. Not great, but it feels like playing at 60. It just looks smoother. Anyway, let's go back to DLSS. Let me lower shadows a bit. And the effects maybe? Okay, I think that did it. High preset, mid, effects and shadows, DLSS, quality, no frame gen. And that's basically it. That's how I would play this game if I only had this card. It's probably still going to drop below 60. I have a VRR screen, so I don't think too much about it, but still.
You have my ears.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like in Stalker 2 that we're heavily CPU limited, but it makes sense because this is basically, again, inside this UE5 build.
What is it, citizen?
I mean, the core is still Oblivion, but now it has UE5 graphics. Although there's some weird frame times outside. Did they update Oblivion gameplay? Apparently it's still the same. I cannot comment on that because I never played Oblivion personally. I mean, I knew it existed, but I never played it in general. I just know the memes and all that. But the frame pacing is still not perfect, which is a shame. It shouldn't be like that. I'll disable NVIDIA Reflex, just in case. Sometimes you can F stuff up. Thanks for the heads up, by the way. I keep forgetting. I think it's bugged with the newest driver. Yeah, despite being on the highest textures, some textures leave a lot to be desired. Yeah, that thing in the water actually is the screen space reflections. But as you can see indoors, when I say it's still Oblivion, it's literally Oblivion with Unreal Engine 5 graphics. The core game, the logic is still the same. But there is stuttering, yeah. At least now we are not VRAM limited. And what you were saying about the water, the ghosting in the water. In this case, I'm using screen space, so the screen space reflections break because they're using screen information. So when the bow is in front of it, you'll see this artifact. And if your character is in front of it, you'll see the artifact. And behind it, there is those reflections from probably cube maps. I don't think it's ray tracing. Maybe it is. But you can disable those reflections entirely just by going here into screen space reflections. If you turn them off, they are gone. So you don't have those ghosty reflections, but at that point you need something to cover that place. So you'll need hardware ray tracing. And that probably will put the reflections that are missing. But yeah, there we go. But it doesn't cover everything. So the quote-unquote real reflection with ray tracing requires hardware ray tracing. So yeah, you get this extra mountain. And usually what developers do, because you cannot ray trace all the geometry, it would be insanely heavy on the GPU, they enable screen space reflections on top of it. And once they do that, you get a mix of the screen space reflections that break, but behind them you have the ray trace ones. Personally, I think with screen space reflections it's good enough. I don't think you need the hardware lumen thing, because it's very expensive on the GPU. But it's an option if you want it. Yeah, without screen space reflections, I mean, games nowadays are thought around the screen space reflections. I mean, without them, there's basically nothing. There is some fallback in cube maps, but again, that's nothing new. That's been like that for a while. The time that this game came out, screen space reflections didn't exist yet. Your 4060 laptop should be fine. If you have 6 gigs of VRAM, just lower those textures. Are there any AAA games this year that are actually optimized? Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a great example. Smart graphics. I cannot go lower with the RTX settings, unfortunately. This is a slow... I put everything related to ray tracing on the absolute lowest. So this is as far as it goes. At least keeping it on a medium to high preset when it comes to the Unreal stuff. So yeah, unfortunately your best bet is upscaling. It still looks pretty good, don't get me wrong. It's just that not a lot of scalability outside of resolution. Yeah, 4060 with 16 gigs will be fine. But I like the visuals. The thing is, I'm not a fan of performance on this one. I'm just happy, at least, just trying to have something positive in my mind about this, is that I would probably now play Oblivion, because I never played the original. And this feels like an old game with new graphics, which, well, that's what this is. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of the performance. Again, keep in mind that when this game came out, I was like 10 years old. I'm 29. So if you already played this originally, you're probably just going to see better graphics, and that's it. Yeah, I did the 1650. It was basically unplayable once you get outside. Yeah, this still feels like an old game. It's not a remake, it's just a remaster. So if you want to play Oblivion, you still have the original. But of course the UI is way worse, the accessibility options are not there, and worse graphics, obviously. But the core game appears to be the same. Just wrapped inside Unreal Engine 5. I was expecting more stutter though. Before I do that though, let's do 1440p, because a lot of you guys ask about it. So 1440p. And at 1440p, I'm going to do the same thing as here, but with balanced DLSS. There we go, no frame gen. And yeah, something like this, but balanced DLSS. Going lower than this, I don't think makes a lot of sense, honestly. Okay, this looks way sharper. But here, even with upscaling, 1440p suffers quite a bit. Oof. Yeah, the music hits right. No, this is not DLSS 4. I think it's a basic DLSS 3 because it doesn't look great with DLSS. Yeah, I'll put FrameGen just to make you guys happy, but give me a moment. I want to get to a taller place. With FrameGen, you're going to be above 60, but not real frames. And you need FSR 3 that arguably looks worse. Okay. Let me quick save, super quick. I want to put an arrow into somebody's forehead.
What's going on? By the 9 divines! Assault! Hey, come on now! There's no need to get violent! By the 9 divines! Assault! Assault! Hey, come on now! There's no need to get violent! By the gods, there's a psychopath on the loose!
There's a psychopath. Yeah, that's me. I'm sorry. Unkillable NPC. Yeah, I imagine so. Oh, hold up. It's nighttime. Oh.
Hey, come on now!
Night actually looks pretty damn good so far with those effects. It's still clearly Oblivion though. Oops, I hit the horse. Sorry. Sorry, horse. It was for the betterment of mankind.
Look out!
Would you say it runs bad generally? I mean, it runs like a UE5 game. So, that should tell you everything you need to know. I was expecting it to run better, honestly, considering, again, the core of the game is still Oblivion. So the original game is still there, just with a UE5 graphics on top of it, to say it in some way. Yeah, medium settings, I'll try medium. But I'm not saying it looks bad, I just was expecting better performance out of it. That's why I was scared when they said, oh, it's Unreal Engine 5. I'm like, oh no. But it has way less stutters than most UE5 games, so that'll be my best takeaway from this. Mid preset. The 4060 right after this one. Just let me get away from the enemies so I can actually go to daytime. The 4060 will be ahead, definitely, especially when it comes to ray tracing. And it's using a lot of RAM at the same time. 12 hours. Me want daytime. Most people don't use 3060 for 1440p. You'd be surprised. But for 1080p, it's completely fine. The thing is, when you go higher than that. Wait a little bit more, maybe. There we go. 3 PM. Much better. Actually, looking at this now, this looks like every tutorial that teaches you how to use Unreal Engine 5. They're like, oh yeah, let's make a jungle. This is how you put a tree, and you have like all that ray tracing stuff. It has that UE5 look. It tries to hide it, but we notice. So I would say for 1440p, probably high with performance upscaling. But for the 3060, 1080p, without a doubt. At least if you want to play it with good visuals. Very quickly, I'm going to do 4K on high settings. There we go. And performance upscaling. Because again, this is at 3060. No business running anything at 4K, but DLSS performance. And there it goes. It looks pretty damn good. Especially at 4K, you can see individual blades of grass. So it does look pretty damn good. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. The base of the game is the same as the original. But what you guys were saying about Sky Oblivion, I agree. I mean, it makes more sense to wait for Sky Oblivion in this case. When it comes to performance, if you have a PC that can run this at the resolution that you want, then it's going to look superior to Sky Oblivion because it's UE5. And for the people that do not know, Sky Oblivion is a mod that basically inside of Skyrim they remake Oblivion, the modders. And those modders said we're not stopping development due to this remaster, so that's good news. I think that makes more sense. But at 4K it looks very, very sharp, which makes complete sense. But it's pretty damn demanding. Yeah, the game is basically 20 years old at this point. Yeah. Yeah, again, when this game showed up, I was in school. I'm 29 at the moment. I was 9 years old. I was learning useless facts that I never got to use in real life at that point. Will 1080p high do 6700 XT? Yeah, you should be okay. There it is. I'll do a quick save. So, what I personally recommend for this card would be 1080p. And on that 1080p, unfortunately, I'll have to recommend upscaling. There's no way around it if you want 60s. Well, you can do ultra textures, the rest on high, and you can increase the lumen to low, from low to high. Gives you better materials. At least when it comes to how light reacts to the materials. And quality upscaling without frame gen. And you'll be into the 50s. At least outside is when it suffers the most, when there's a lot of foliage. Which, again, considering how old this game is, it shouldn't be like this, but at the same time, it's Unreal Engine 5. So it does run like a UE5 game. Maybe if I put shadows on medium, I can close that gap. But indoors, medium shadows look super pixelated. So it's hard to recommend that. Yeah, there it goes. But personally, again, I thought this is 1080p, by the way. Quality, 1080p, high preset, medium shadows, and effects. And again, you're borderline 50 to 60 something FPS. As soon as you get indoors, though, no problems. You get 100 FPS. But again, it feels like yet another Unreal Engine 5 game. They dropped Oblivion into Unreal Engine 5. So yeah, it does look better than the original. But it's still Oblivion. The CPU is fine though. Where I saw the CPU demands were when I was actually doing the shader pre-compilation. But when it comes to CDs and all that, it's okay on the CPU. I don't think you can swap transformer modeling. Oh, no. On the Xbox Game Pass version, doing the transformer model swap is more difficult because you don't have admin permissions for that folder. You have to do some permission thingies to make it work properly. So if you have the Steam version, that's not a problem. But here, on the Xbox Game Pass version, you need the admin permission thing. Anyway, so yeah, for the 3060 1080p with these settings that I just showed you, again, keep in mind, while the game is 20 years old, this is still Unreal Engine 5. So all the shortcomings when it comes to GPU are here as well. And if you don't mind losing some extra performance, enable Lumen Hardware RT, which is hardware ray tracing. And this will give you better reflections and ray tracing in general. And then Lumen, software Lumen, you can lower it if you want less ray tracing. And again, DLSS quality, and if you don't mind using balanced on 1080p, we're talking about 1080p here, put it on balanced, and that should give you above 50 basically across the board. I'll also crank up those shadows because indoors they look pretty pixelated. But again, indoors is not a a problem. Performance indoors is completely fine. I also forgot to mention the global illumination. So yeah, I'm pretty disappointed, honestly. Despite being UE5, I don't know, I was expecting a bit more. Especially with the base of the game being still the 20-year-old game as a base. I don't know. So yeah, something like this, personally. On the 3060 at least. Let's go for the 4060, which I don't expect it to be super different, honestly. It's going to be faster by a little bit. Especially when it comes to ray tracing. But it's not that much of an upgrade. It's more of a side grade. We also have 8 gigs of VRAM on this one. That's coming right now. No 1440p testing. I did 1440p, but at 60 frames, you're not getting 60s at 1440p. Unless you use like performance upscaling at medium settings. So I did try 1440p, but it was too much. If you want to use frame gen, well, that's another story. You can do that just fine, but input lag. Yeah, it's playable on the 3060, definitely. And you can find 1440p testing, I did it. I tried 1080p, 1440p and 4K as usual. But 1440p 60, it was very difficult on the 3060. Even with upscaling. The only thing I would say makes the game unplayable is if you have less than 6 GB of VRAM. If your card is 4 GB, ignore the game completely, because you're not getting decent performance out of it. 4 GB is just too little for the game. It happens in other UE5 games, unfortunately. But UE5 just needs more VRAM. So you should be good. 2060, yeah, the 2060 should be able to handle it just fine. Because you at least have 6 GB of VRAM. Just lower those textures and you should be good to go. Okay, we're going to start with the highest. Which again is just something that I like doing, just to see what gets cut. Thanks, Master Predator. I appreciate that. On the 580, I don't know. I haven't played any UE5 game on the RX 580. Back when I had that card, UE5 didn't exist. So I'm old. If it runs UE5 games, it should run, if you have the 8 GB version. That's my guess. Shotina, well. The full video, that's coming in later. Well, the full video will be for Steam Deck, actually. But when it comes to the PC... Hang on. You can rewind. You should be able to. Hang on. Yeah, the stream is configured so you can rewind. So you can rewind to the part that you want to see. I want to see if I can reload the shaders. Because each time I change the GPU, it should tell me, hey, rebuilding shader cache. But it's not telling me that. I think it's doing it in the background. Anyway. 1080p. Ultra. I'm being ridiculous, obviously. And Lumen hardware on high. With DLAA, so native 1080p. And on this one we have frame gen. Because it's a 40 series GPU. So we're trying the official one as well. How different is high versus ultra on hardware lumen? We're about to find out. But it looks less pixelated on the reflections. I'm guessing that's more bounces for the light. But now it's probably, yeah, it's compiling shaders. That's why the CPU is maxed out, so give it a moment. Is it possible to turn off the compass in the menu? I'll check it. Yeah, I played Skyrim on a 9500 GT actually. It's been a while. Now, the game is not a broken mess, it's just very GPU demanding. No, I don't need a smaller water bottle, I need a bigger one. Okay, so on the highest settings... Oh, hang on. No wonder I was getting below 30. I have a torch in front of me. The torch casts shadows, guys. That's why I drop frames there. Anyway, let me put down my torch. Hold up. I hate that it's not as a weapon. Yeah, I didn't even know I saved. I was in battle when I saved. So let me quick save after the fight. So again, this is with the highest settings, and as you can see, the ray tracing also includes reflections. So it's not only screen space. Whoa! But the performance is terrible. Especially when I go into the water. Somebody's wanted to fight me, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, as I get closer to the water... Ah, there you are. Always a crab. Thank you, sir. So as I was saying, there's more rays being traced. When I look down, it engages the lumen ray tracing, the hardware part of it, but there seems to be a bug with the screen space reflections, because when I covered the screen space reflections, when I remove them, I have the ray trace reflection. What I'm trying to say is, usually the screen space reflections usually match the ray tracing, so when the screen space reflection gets broken because we don't have screen space information, it falls back to either cube maps or ray trace reflections. In this case, they're like together, but not quite mixed well. So if I turn those off, the screen space reflections, now I'm actually looking at proper reflections. But the issue with these reflections as well is that now it's kind of hazy. So this should look like this in the reflection as well, but it's not. It's being reflected like if there was no post-processing on the image. And the FPS drop is huge, obviously, because this is real-time real-time reflections, basically. So again, I think this is probably a bug, because the reflection shouldn't ignore the fog into the distance. The fog should be reflected as well. It's a limitation of ray tracing in that regard, because we're not reflecting transparencies as well. The thing is, when I'm using screen space reflections, the screen space reflections actually recognize that fog into the distance, but they're not properly mixed with the actual ray trace reflections. So it looks weird. To fix that is pretty simple. Disable hardware lumen, and you should be good. So we still have that issue, but it's less noticeable. What's up with that? What's up with that shadow moving around? It's a day and night cycle. Look at that. The sun is moving. No, it's just a bug. So yeah, at the moment I would avoid hardware ray tracing just because of that. It seems to be pretty buggy when it comes to visuals. It doesn't mix well with the screen space reflections. So do that. And then the quality, even on 1080p, I would say high makes more sense. High with software ray tracing on low. And there you go, you still have the minimum amount possible of ray tracing, but you still have those reflections, the screen space ones. So this is 1080p high plus DLAA, and the RT is on by default, we cannot turn it off. Can you please try the game with only 16 GB of RAM? Not really, because if I remove the other 16 GB that I have, it will be on single channel, and single channel runs much worse. No, this is without DLSS. This is DLAA, I think. Yeah, this is DLAA. This is native resolution. If you use upscaling, I think you can push it a little bit higher. So DLSS quality. So now we're actually using upscaling. And I think this is the way to do it. When it suffers the most is when there's a lot of foliage present. And well, and the sun is casting shadows. But as you can see, the 4060 is doing better than the 3060, which makes sense, but more than usual, because the game, whether you like it or not, is going to use ray tracing. When it comes to, yeah, the global illumination, all that in UE5, it's all ray tracing. Whether we like it or not, without hardware ray tracing even, the Nvidia card is faster. For games that contain ray tracing. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great, but... Whoa. Oh, Desperado191, thank you so much for the $5 donation. He says, does Epic Games still do free game giveaways? Thanks for the early performance test, bro. Thank you, Desperado191, for yet another donation. Thank you so much. Yeah, Epic does do free game giveaways every Thursday, but I stopped covering them because usually the games that they give away either were already given away or they were games that nobody cares about. Last week I think they gave away River City Girls and I really liked that game, so I was like, hey guys, here's River City Girls on Steam Deck. But yeah, they're still doing free game giveaways, but games of lesser quality. Yeah, I mean, compared to the original, graphically it's a million times better, obviously. It's funny that my shadow disappears in first person, like in Skyrim. I mean, the game looks fantastic, it's just very GPU demanding. And there's some stutters in the frame time. Yeah, I'm doing frame gen. Thanks for the reminder. So by keeping it personally on the 4060, I'll put it like this. High settings, low RT quality, DLSS quality, maybe lumens, software lumen on high, you can still do that. Quality DLSS and you should be good. If you don't like upscaling, you can use native and you'll be more into the 50s. Frame gen. Let's see, we're at a nice frame rate of 69. And if I scroll all the way down and enable frame gen, what happens? We get 110. And the frame times look like that because the way that Nvidia does frame gen, doesn't work well with the FPS counter. So the frame times looking like that, it actually feels pretty smooth. So now frame gen on. And I think, again, frame gen with the base frame rate of 50 to 60, it's okay. I can notice the input lag. I'm pretty sensitive to input lag, so I notice it right away. But here it's well implemented. At least it seems to be so far. I even tried FSR 3 frame gen, and that one still felt good enough. I'm not saying this is how you should play the game. What I'm saying is it works and it does what it's supposed to be doing. Let me see the shadow moving here. Does it still move? No soft shadows? Yeah, there is. Here. The thing is, in first person, your shadow disappears, like in Skyrim. That kind of bothers me, because we have the technology now to do self-shadows. Would be nice to have this as an option to still give self-shadows. But hey, what can you do? But you can see the shadows moving as the sun moves. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Individual leaves. That's insane. Sometimes I forget how far we come when it comes to graphics. Would you recommend on getting this on release? Personally, I'll either play it on Game Pass, but if you want to get this to play Oblivion with better graphics, if your GPU can do it, sure, go ahead. The only bad thing about this is that the performance is like a UE5 game. So you're playing Oblivion with way better visuals, but with lower performance as well. The performance hit is huge because obviously it's still Unreal Engine 5. So if you can actually run the game with high settings, yeah, definitely, I'll go for it. But it has its limitations. What they need to fix, at least so far for my first impressions, is that the screen space reflections and the ray trace reflections don't match 100%. Yeah, in this case, because I'm not using hardware ray tracing, I'm using software ray tracing that uses less resources. All this geometry here is not reflected. But if you use the more demanding setting, the hardware lumen, that is reflected, but it doesn't 100% match the screen space reflection. So it looks like two reflections fighting each other, trying to be the one on top. So I think they didn't do a proper pass between screen space reflections and the lumen, the hardware lumen reflections. They don't match perfectly. That's all there is to it. I mean, I think this is 100% a Game Pass game. Because it's still Oblivion. It's not a remake, it's a remaster. What changed is graphics. Graphics and UI and all that. All the eye candy, that's what changed. The base game seems to be the same. I never played the original, but this feels like an old game with good graphics. To me. A good game where they said, okay, let's enable ray tracing and redo all the assets. And yeah, modding is a good reason to buy this. The thing is, at the moment, day of release, Shadow dropped today. The game released like 3 hours ago, out of the blue. The modding is probably... yeah, there's probably no modding as of yet. It's Unreal Engine, so modding should be pretty easy, as far as I know. But it looks good. I like the visuals. They did a good job with them. It's just that ray tracing reflections not mixing well with screen space is what bothers me. But again, I would just put it on high, DLSS quality, frame gen off, and you should be good. Maybe we can increase it to something higher on the 4060. Maybe we can put it on ultra if the game allows us, with the global illumination, shadows, effects, and foliage on high. Yeah, and that should do. Yeah, especially because with the foliage, it's actually pretty taxing. High reset. Yeah, this is always using ray tracing, whether we like it or not. High shadows. Yeah, I think with high shadows we can get away with it. Oh, shadows and GI on a high. And textures. There it goes. Something like this. I think would make more sense. Try the Steam Deck? I'm going to. Don't worry. Got you covered. High shadows and GI.
What is it, citizen?
Also, I recommend you restart the game when you change a lot of settings. Otherwise, the stutters that you're seeing right now will be even worse. But it's funny because I'm just going in a straight line. It's not like the game now became, I don't know, something without loading screens. No, it still has the same loading screens as before. They're just way faster. But still, textures leave a lot to be desired. I tried ultra textures and they look like this still. Let's go 1440p now. Yeah, on a 2060 you can still run it, but lower those textures. Otherwise, your GPU is going to cry for help. All the way to Epic Games' offices. Textures, I'll put them on high. Reflections on high. Okay. Let's do native at the beginning. So 1440p at native. So a mix of medium and high, basically high with medium GI. And native 1440p. Okay, native 1440p with high settings. With medium GI. And no frame gen. It runs something like this. So usually native nowadays I wouldn't use native resolution, just due to the fact that it's clear that games are designed around upscaling. But still, the foliage is when it suffers the most. So go here like usual, balanced at 1440p. I think it looks good enough. And there it goes. But if you have the chance, use DLSS 4 by tweaking the DLL file, because DLSS in this game doesn't look great so far. Does frame gen affect visuals in any way? There could be artifacting on the UI, and there's input lag. So I would say the biggest issue with frame gen is input lag. In this case right now, I could use frame gen, So I'm going to show it to you because you guys always ask about it. So no worries, I gotcha. What I don't get is these stutters right here. I think I should restart. Just in case. I think we're running out of VRAM actually. Let's lower that texture quality. I think it's because it's UE5, but at the same time, I want to give it the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I can pretend that it will be fine, and this time will be different, but it's not happening. Yeah, it looks like traversal stutter, but at the same time, I cannot reproduce it 100% consistently. Yeah. Come on, close the game already so I can relaunch it. Thank you. Turn on super resolution from NVIDIA settings. Oh, you mean the app? In this case, we cannot affect that because this is a Game Pass game, and Game Pass games have those Windows admin permission things on the folders that you can lift to do those changes, but this came out of the blue. I couldn't prepare for it. I was at work and I told someone, hey, there's an Oblivion remaster. Can I do a live stream and come back to work tomorrow? He was like, yeah, of course. So that's how I arrived here. Somebody told me DLSS swapper is also an option, but let's ignore it for now. This is more of a first impressions video. What I'm saying is, if you have the chance to use the transformer model using DLSS swapper, using the NVIDIA app, do it, because the one that they're using in this game doesn't look good, in my opinion. Okay, that's way better. Let's see if it's traversal stutter. The way to notice this is we run into that bridge, and it's probably going to load a different part of the game and do like a spike in the frame time. So let's see, run towards the bridge. And probably as soon as I cross this part or touch the bridge, it should spike because it will load something else. Okay. Yeah, there we got a small one, a bunch of small ones. But so far so good. Oh, okay, your cloud saves are not working on the Steam version of the game. I don't have the Steam version, only the Xbox version. But if that's the case, that's absurd. That shouldn't happen. What the hell? Yeah, very steep curve. Yeah. I mean, considering it's UE5, that's not bad. That's why I say you should restart games, generally. Oh yeah, I can steal the horse. Whoa! Okay, this should give us a quick look on the horse mechanic. I mean, if it doesn't drop with the horse going at Mach 5 speed, we should be good. Yeah, I mean, there was a spike there, but nothing major. Although the frame time is a little bit wobbly. Turn around. Yeah, this literally feels like an old game. So they did their job. It's definitely a remaster, not a remake. But now the frame times are way better. So that's interesting. Red Dead 2 horse riding? No, the Red Dead 2, yeah, there we had a spike. Yeah, here's again. But it's not as bad as other UE5 games in that regard. Yeah, good thing at least is smaller ones. It's a remaster. If it was a remake, things would be... the game would be different. It wouldn't be the same game. In this case, it's clearly the same game. So, this is still Oblivion. It's Oblivion with a UE5 patch, basically. With also better UI. But for 1440p, you can get close to the 60s with these settings. Something like this. And balance DLSS. Again, if you can change the transformer model to the transformer model, better said, I highly recommend you do it. And if you want to use frame gen, yes, it does work and it's okay. It's just input latency. Although the input latency is not so bad right now. And I'm a guy that is really sensitive to input lag. That's not the bones of Oblivion. Oh yeah, well, of course not the same bones. Makes complete sense, but... it's still Oblivion. There were tweaks, obviously, with models, materials... some, probably not all animations.
Well met. They say that the priests.
But again, I cannot speak for the entire game because I haven't played the original.
No one even knows who did it.
I don't even know how to get off the horse.
Who seems to know what's going on. Although, as usual, he speaks only in riddles, as prophets always seem to do.
Well,
So long.
be seeing you. It's you. Hi.
What is it?
Although just looking at them like this, it reminds me of the memes.
Hi there.
Best way to take out a skeleton is with a big weapon. Forget spells. Just smack him and watch the bones fly.
I've heard others say the same.
Safe travels.
Be seeing you.
It's pretty powerful though.
Die!
Yeah, but frame gen... it works. Some input lag, but not unplayable. That's because the base frame rate is into the 50s. Before enabling it. But again, I'm not a fan of frame gen. I'll just keep it as is, with balanced upscaling, at least at 1440p. Yeah, it comes with all the content. Marksman level increased. Reduce 2 atoms. But definitely when it suffers the most so far is in the open world in this... well, basically everything that has a lot of foliage to be rendered. That's when it suffers the most. Also, I got a few stutters when I open these inventories. Oh, yeah, frame gen is off now. Thanks for the heads up. So yeah, I mean... again, 1440p, I think with balanced upscaling, on the 4060 you can get a decent experience. Let's go ahead... 20 hours. We see the sun from another perspective. But yeah, it's working much better than on the 3060 by a big margin in this case. I'm pretty sure it's because of the reliance on ray tracing that UE5 has. But it looks pretty damn good. The thing is, again, it's very, very, very GPU intensive. Should I play this or Skyrim? I mean, Skyrim is my first Elder Scrolls, so I'm biased. So I'll probably play Skyrim first, just due to the fact that that's the first one that I played. So I understand more of this one. But if you play Oblivion first and then play Skyrim, you're probably going to feel like Skyrim is an upgrade. Some people say it's a downgrade. It all depends. Again, I'm biased because the first one that I played was Skyrim. I cannot speak on which one is better. But at least Skyrim is going to be performing completely fine because it's not a UE5 game. And don't worry, Top 10 is one of the few instances that a big game releases and I get like 1,000 people in chat. Which, again, thank you so much, guys, for watching this live stream. It helps a lot. But it's pretty rare. Usually I get 100 and something people. So this is big. And thank you, Jaro96, for the $2 donation. He says, any COD alternatives on Steam Deck? Big fan. If you mean COD alternatives because campaign, I mean, many Call of Duties actually work well on Steam Deck until you get to Modern Warfare 2018 or 2019. But to play online, maybe Delta Force is the closest one. That's my guess. I haven't played Call of Duty in a while, at least online. Yeah, nighttime with torches will be interesting, actually. Let's wait for nighttime. Play Skyrim if you like dragons and Viking theme stuff. Play Oblivion if you don't like dragons or Viking theme stuff. That's a good way to put it, I think. Yep, I'll do medium as well. Give me 1 sec. I want to see nighttime. Somebody said it. I thought it was a great idea. I'll grab a torch. So yeah, torches do cast shadows, even on foliage. That looks pretty damn good. And it does have a performance impact, definitely.
How are you?
But it's not that far off. Well, if I turn off the torch, it's going to improve performance, definitely. But let's continue. Some graphics are broken on lowest settings. Okay. Yeah, probably it makes sense. That sucks. Yeah, on the lowest probably, well, you don't have screen space reflections on the lowest settings. So it makes sense that it breaks. Does this cast shadows too? Okay, this does cast shadows as well, and this one too. Yep. Interesting. GPU 4060 right now. If you want to see 3060 and 1650, rewind the stream and you'll find them. Yeah, here I'm seeing those frame time spikes. Not sure again if it's traversal stutter or the fact that I changed settings and didn't restart the game. You saw 5060? Yeah, no. The 5060 can F off, honestly. We gotta wait for the 6060. That one hopefully has more than 1 GB of VRAM. But it was to be expected, unfortunately. Why disabled in frame gem? Because I feel input lag.
What is it, citizen?
Not a huge deal, but it's there.
Greetings.
The torches all cast shadows.
What is it, citizen?
You have my ear, citizen.
I've been looking for you.
It looks pretty damn good.
Why do you bother me? Go away.
I mean, you can see what that torch is doing. That's pretty damn cool. If you don't notice, I do like torches casting shadows.
Greetings, Argonian.
If they fix latency issues, FrameGen might be nice. Yeah, I mean, if the base frame rate is good, like right now, you can use FrameGen. It works. It seems to be working well so far. The thing is, I do notice the input lag, and I'm not a big fan of that. But you can use FrameGen just fine. The thing is, it's weird for me to the image to look so smooth, but my inputs being the same as before. It's weird. Because it does look on my screen, it looks like 90 something FPS. But when I move the mouse, it feels like I'm playing at 60 or below. So that kind of breaks my brain a little bit. But again, that's just me. If you like FrameGen, that's okay. Yeah, with a mouse especially, you can feel it more. With a controller, it's more tolerable. But you cannot deny that there is input lag in there. It's impossible not to. There is a generated frame in between each frame. So for that to happen, you need to wait for 2 frames to happen so they can make one in between. So there will be input lag, no matter what. But if the base frame rate is very high, well, it will be way less noticeable. Yeah, but I really do like what they did with the lighting. Although, just by remembering the little that I know about Oblivion, the game looks less green than the original. As far as I remember, the original had like a green yellowish tint on top of it. This one looks more like natural lighting. Like what the sun in real life will look like. In that way, it kind of looks weird. Yeah, the colors don't look the same. And again, I'm not a... Just because of the memes, I remember the skin tones of the characters from the memes. And this looks more muted when it comes to the lighting. It doesn't have that mood of the previous game, of the original game. The third FrameGen option is automatic, and I don't know what it does, honestly. Some games do have that. It's not always 100% clear on what they do. Yeah, the Steam Deck apparently is verified for this. Oh, this is cool. I'm going to save this for when I try it on Steam Deck. There we go.
Speak.
Oh, okay. The OG game has a color vibe. Yeah, I know what you mean. Older games used to do that more. Now they're just trying realism. But this looks more... Seems to be trying to ground itself more on reality when it comes to color. Yeah, I feel like the original, again from the memes that I recall in my brain, had more like a green tint to it. But anyway, I digress. So 1440p, you can do it on high with medium GI and textures, and FrameGen if you want over 90 FPS. If you don't like FrameGen like myself, disable it. You get a good performance anyway. That's not a problem. 1080p, very easy to do. You can do it even without upscaling. And 4K, which is what I'm doing right now, with performance DLSS, Hopefully it doesn't kill the GPU. Nah, I'm kidding. It's not going to die. It's too young to die. Frame gen off. And it looks so much better at 1440p. Dude, 4K is insane. I'm using a 27-inch 4K monitor, and the sharpness difference is stupidly better at 4K. You probably know this if you saw 4K close to a screen. But man, even with upscaling, 4K looks stupidly sharp. Yeah, no, some textures still don't look great. Just to make sure that the stutters are not video settings related, because the game freezes each time I pause the game, but freezes in a way that, yeah, it's like waiting for an input. Let's restart. What does the lowest settings look like? Good question. Give me a moment and I'll show you. I'll do a comparison now at the end. Okay, yeah, I imagined, Gruff, that was going to be a thing. I mean, it's Steam Deck verified. It's probably how I like to call them, Steam Deck terrified. Insanely terrified. So yeah, I'm doing a video, but probably separately. The thing is, I don't have the game on Steam. I have it on Game Pass. And yeah, if I can avoid buying a game, I'll do it. But this time, I guess I'm buying it on Steam, which is okay. I need to check also if the cloud saves don't work. Yeah, I could do a Steam refund, but I did it in the past and I felt bad about it. I don't know. And also I have to work. They left me off the hook today, but still, I need to do stuff. I just came here out of the blue because the game shadow dropped. Okay, so lowest settings. Oh, before... You know what, let's do it like this. I think this would be better. I'll have to do an experiment, so bear with me. Bear with me. You're goddamn right. I'm thinking on how I'll be doing this. Before I do anything, basically if you're doing 4K, you can do it like this, with performance upscaling. Looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. But let's do lower settings. So this is what it looks on basically medium to high. Yeah, the high preset, there is still ray tracing. That's probably a cube map though. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this. So I know screenshots are not the best idea, but it's the best I got. I'll go to low. That low technically doesn't include screen space reflections. They are separate from everything else. So there goes low, which again, low still looks pretty damn good, in my opinion. And after that, instead of low, we got no screen space reflections. That's the third option that includes something extra. So now we disable the reflections. And now it's basically potato. I don't know why you would disable the reflections there, but hey. If they're flickering on low, I didn't see any texture flickering unless I didn't restart the game. Also, by the way, on low you still have good shadows. Anyway, let me open iCat and I'll do the comparison right away. Right away. Okay, so here we go, side by side. And there's an image that is missing. There we go. So let's go for the easy stuff. So the one in the middle is, you guys see that? Yes, you do. So the one in the middle is low without reflections. You can turn reflections off, the screen space ones. The one at the left is low with screen space reflections, and the one at the right is high settings with medium level illumination. I think it's pretty obvious. Let's remove the one in the middle because obviously it's just no reflections. Remove this one. So this will be low versus high. And as you can see, even the color palette is affected. Because global illumination, light bouncing is not as good. And also the reflections themselves are more pixelated. But again, the performance difference, I mean, why sacrifice so much? Right? Yeah, medium is always the sweet spot. It's like the in-between. So, hold up. But when you are indoors, or there's shadows, well, indoors especially is not demanding at all. What is the most taxing, I'd say, is the foliage and being outside. Just like in real life. This is low. And high. And now we compare them again. I'd rather do video to do this, but again, I think to do it live, this is way easier to show you. Well, tell me which one is low and which one is high. I'll wait. It's probably very difficult to notice. But I'm going to... Oh, duh. There we go. So let me know, guys, if you notice which one is high and which one is low. I'll wait. I mean, low doesn't look bad, but you can notice the indirect lighting being better. Well, the render distance of the foliage, I think it's also pretty obvious. Although, I don't know what this is. What the hell is this? Is this a bug? What's that supposed to be? And also, well, with the worst global illumination, the light bounces are less accurate, less light bouncing, so the darkness is way more realistic over here, especially when this is met with an edge. And well, into a distance as well, you can notice it. And it also affects the color. So the green from the ground is also being reflected. So yeah, it looks way less flat, to say it in some way. So it looks pretty damn good, in my opinion, but there are sacrifices, obviously. Let me see what the hell this thing is. Yeah, we improved the game, but you need to buy the game again. And at the same time, please buy a 4090. Sorry, a 5090. Yeah, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I think this is a bug. Bethesda, please fix. Yeah, I mean, you can see the culling behind it. This shouldn't exist. Otherworldly being. Surprise. Look at this, I can become invisible. I love this stuff. Unplayable. Master of stealth. Nobody can notice me. That's hilarious. Was this in the original or it's something new? This is probably a bug with something in the geometry. I love trying to be invisible in video games. Isn't it a bug? It's a feature. Todd Howard. This is why I love Bethesda game. Let's see how this looks at night. Stealth 1000. That should be an optional thing. Okay, at nights. Yeah, with the torch. Chef's kiss. Why am I testing with software Lumen? That's a great question. It's because hardware Lumen looks weird on the water reflections. And you're using it with... Oh, what's the name of this? When you're using it with screen space reflections, they don't line up perfectly. So when there's haze or something like that, and the screen space reflection gets cut off, the ray trace reflection doesn't match. So it looks wrong, to say it in some way. You thought it would stutter way more? Same. Yeah, I was expecting way more stutter. So let me, before I finish this video, thoughts? Well, this is basically Oblivion with much better UI and stuff like that, and Unreal Engine 5 graphics. The base game seems to be the same. Maybe there's other tweaks that I'm not noticing, but mostly seems to be a graphical improvement. It controls like an old game, so never played the original, but this feels... But I played Skyrim. This feels, on the gameplay side, like less weight to the combat than Skyrim, which makes sense, it's an older game. When it comes to the settings, personally I would focus on medium level illumination to get the best performance. If you have 6 GB of VRAM, medium or low textures, then you have FrameGen for DLSS on 40 series and above, but you can also use FrameGen with FSR3. But you need to use FSR3 for that to work. It's not upscaler agnostic. So if you use FSR3, you can use FrameGen. It works pretty well. Sorry about the mic. Then here, you can choose how many rays are being cast with Lumen. And you can choose between hardware and software Lumen. So basically, the one from software, it's one that doesn't require RT cores to work. That's why this game will launch on basically everything. And thank you so much, Morfeo, for the 75 Uruguayan pesos donation. Gracias. It says on Deck OLED right now you can get 30 or 40 FPS lock very comfortably, depending on settings. In closer spaces, you can go higher, but it's not stable. It makes sense. I mean, if you're testing something, go outside. That's the best way to do it. I'm going to do it in a moment, I'm guessing. We'll see. But I'd rather make a video on Steam Deck rather than a live stream. But thanks for the donation. I appreciate that. But thanks for the heads up as well. So as I was saying, if you use hardware ray tracing is way more accurate, but it also uses way more GPU. But my issue with the hardware lumen thing in this game is that it looks way too perfect in the reflections. So if you use hardware lumen, the reflections are just too perfect. Which you might say, oh, but that's a better thing. Yes, but if you're using screen space should match what you see in this reflection. Obviously, if using ray tracing, doesn't include transparencies for the reflections. So transparencies are not covered by this. This is nothing new. This also happened on Metro Exodus, that the leaves of the trees were not reflected, but the geometry was. So that's pretty expensive on the GPU. The thing is, it doesn't always line up perfectly with the screen space reflection, which is the one that disappears. In this case, as an example, it lines up very damn well. But sometimes in the game there's a hazy environment or something, and the reflection is too dark. It doesn't look like what it should be reflecting. It feels like they are fighting each other. So that's my issue with the hardware ray tracing on this one. Just to show you about the reflection that I was talking about. If you look at the reflections into the distance, you have something there. If you use software ray tracing instead of hardware, lots of things are not reflected anymore. But again, I think the reflections are way too perfect. I'm just saying, in real life, water is not like a mirror. That's what I'm trying to say. So that mixed with screen space reflections, if they could make it match the screen space reflections better, we wouldn't have an issue. But sometimes it looks too dark on the ray trace reflection. Other than that, I like how it looks. I think they did a great job with the visuals. But again, it's the same old game with Unreal Engine 5 graphics. And that means Unreal Engine 5 performance, but to be fair, Unreal Engine 5 doesn't have as much, in this case, it doesn't have as much stutter as usual. When it comes to stuttering, they did a way better job than most UE5 games out there. There's a shader pre-compilation pass. There is some traversal stutter, especially if you don't restart the game after changing settings. But overall, I think visuals are fantastic. I think they did a great job with that. And it runs like a UE5 game, which is expected. Because it's Oblivion on Unreal Engine 5. Yeah, which means it will play nice in 10 years. Yeah, in 10 years we'll be able to play this on the Steam Deck 2 or the Steam Deck 2.5. Just to end this, let me put it on the highest settings at 4K without any upscaling. Let's just make it cry. Hopefully it doesn't catch on fire. Haha, very funny. Maxed out at 4K. Yeah, we have everything. And there it goes. Look at that stuff. Look at my GPU cooking itself. I was expecting worse though. But as you can see there with the reflection, The screen space covers the tree, but as soon as it gets out of screen space, it's just a ray trace reflection. So now it works like it worked originally, right? The original game ran like this. There we go. Now enable FrameGen for RTX 50 performance. Yeah, let's enable FrameGen as well. Screw it. FrameGen. And with FrameGen in this case it runs worse because we are out of VRAM. FrameGen requires more VRAM to work properly. So with FrameGen, see, this is why we need more VRAM to be able to enable FrameGen when GPU limited like this. See, this is why we need VRAM. In this case, it's better not to use FrameGen, I guess. It just fills the VRAM and kills the performance. Yeah, just play at 4K Ultra and you'll be good. Let me see though what the original looked like. I think I have it on my Steam library actually. Let me check for 1 second. I need to see what it looked like, because I'm not from. I never played this game. Do I have it on my library? No, I don't have it. What do you mean I don't have it? I thought I had it. I have Skyrim. Hold up. Hold your horses. Fallout 3. It's probably on top sellers. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. The top sellers right now are the Remastered, the Game of the Year Edition, and the Game of the Year Edition Deluxe. Okay. I see. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Definitely looks... I don't see any difference. They are the same picture. I mean, I can understand though. The vibe of this image... Yeah, the vibe of that greenish tone on it is not there anymore. Yeah. Yeah, actually this... I don't know, this green with white-ish tint is completely gone. I mean, if you look at the game now, that green, like overexposed look to it is gone. Now it looks more like trying to mimic real life. That's interesting. So the art style is pretty different, actually. Yeah, I mean, the game... This is what I'm saying. It's like overexposed on purpose. Yeah, the forests look nothing like this now. They look like actual forests. Here, they're trying to do art style. Yeah, I mean, look at this. It looks nothing like this. The forest looks more natural. This one, it gives more of a vibe of, okay, we're in a... How to say it? We're not in a real world. We're like in a tale. But hey, for its time, looks pretty damn good. So I understand what they did with the art style. I mean, in the past, you needed to do this in order for the game to look good with the worse, how to say, worse technology. So yeah, just looking at this, I understand some of the changes. So some people are not going to like the remaster because the art style is completely different. I mean, just look at this. It looks nothing like the original when it comes to the vibe. This reminds me when we got a Skyrim, the Skyrim Legendary Edition, I think it was, that we only got the God Rays and the bluish cold vibe was replaced with the God Rays. Interesting. Yeah, your 2080 Ti will be fine. Guys, as long as you have 6 gigs of VRAM, you should be able to play it, no problem. The only thing I want to say regarding performance, if you have a 4GB GPU, ignore the game. At 4GB of VRAM, you'll be below 30 across the board. If you have a Steam Deck, that's another thing, because you can use more VRAM being allocated from the system RAM. But if you have a 2060, something that has 6 gigs of VRAM, you should be able to. 2080 Ti will be fine. Just don't put it on the highest setting. And maybe use software lumen instead of hardware. And the global illumination, lower it so you don't have issues when there's a lot of... when you're in the middle of the forest and there's a lot of foliage. The global illumination there will make a huge performance difference. There's a lot of small objects. But that's basically it. I think it runs like yet another UE5 game. It compiles shaders before launching. It has an FOV slider, which is something that Bethesda is not known for. And yeah, I think it has good accessibility options and a good amount of settings there. But it's basically Oblivion with Unreal Engine 5, which I think is a good thing, but you need a fast GPU to take advantage of those better visuals. Yeah, Ryzen 5 3600 should do it just fine. This seems sorely GPU limited. The CPU is not a big issue on this one. Again, what I would pay attention to is this. 16 GB of RAM, at least a 6 GB GPU, and you need 125 gigs of space. But 6 cores, 12 threads should be completely fine. The thing is, on the GPU side, is a heavy hitter. It's a UE5 game with ray tracing. And if you don't want to do that, well, you can wait for Oblivion, which is basically Oblivion on Skyrim's engine. So that's a mod that's coming later. But it looks pretty damn good. GG. I was expecting way worse, especially when it comes to stuttering. There was a very little in comparison to other UE5 games. So yeah, I'll be working on a video on the Steam Deck on this one. I'll get right to it. I'll buy it on Steam and basically do a Steam Deck video. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have space to install this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. Thank you. See you next time.